Welcome to another exciting topic at Kopi Events. That's right. And today's topic, if you can look at it, yes, that's what I was saying the last week. Today's topic is going to be very sizzling, and the topic is sex getting too hot. That's right. When we talk about this topic, most of the people are actually very shy. They don't want to discuss. They don't want to talk about it. But today we have a doctor on board, and she's coming, and I'm going to make sure this show will be very exciting and sizzling as well. Let's invite Dr. Angela. Hello, Dr. Angela.
Hi, everybody. My name is Angela, as you heard. Okay, so I'm a family doctor by training who has specialized in sexual wellness. For the last couple of years, I have been working with individuals and couples how to navigate, this taboo topic around sex, how to bring the sizzle back into the bedroom, and how to enhance relationship that way.
Thank you, Doctor, for that very great introduction about yourself. Doc, I know we just connected and we talk about this topic to bring it at Kopi events. And to all the viewers, it's a very good news. The topic today that we're going to have with Dr. Angela Tan, Sex Getting Too Hard, will be in Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. And it will be all in our social media, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook itself. So you can share and like it. All right. Doc, before we even jump into this topic, when we talk about sex, there's always this, like shyness. Like, I do not know, you do not know, But among friends, very close friends, we talk about every other things. But is it something to do with the culture, or is it because of we as in Singapore very reserved? What is this take in this, Doc?
I think it's multifactorial. I mean, one, you know, how many of us actually talk about sex in the family setting? And family is supposed to be the safest place, right? And if you're uncomfortable talking about a topic as such in a safe space, then it's really hard to bring it anywhere else. And then I do know, guys, they rarely talk about sex for what it is. It's more like, oh, I did it how many times with so and so and so.
Yeah.
And then for somehow females think that sex is also supposed to be like automated. If you kind of admit that you're having problems or having pain, then there's either something wrong with myself or something wrong with the partner that I chose. So all in all, it doesn't look good on anyone.
All right, doctor. So gotcha. And also, how sensitive is this in Singapore? I mean, I know when I'm with my friends, or a lot of people when they're with their close friends, they do share. But like what you mentioned, it could be, is it because of the family settings, or maybe we are not very open society? Is that could be also one of the reasons that you may say?
Yeah, I mean, we're not very open in the sense that we are not comfortable with the topic that way. I mean, if you look at it, the private genitals, other than the actual name of penis and vulva, like how many other names has it have? And
All
why do
right.
we need so many fanciful names for just these two body parts? And we call the hands and the feet.
Yeah, very true.
So there's a certain connotation of shame and embarrassment about our genitals for what they are.
It's actually our
So
human body
yeah.
part, isn't it? Right? It's our human
Mm,
body part, but then we are a little shy to talk about it. So that's what
yeah.
we are going to figure it out today, Doc. Thank you for joining us at Kopi with Vance. I know the weather is crazy, so I'm not sure if usually before the show starts, I will have a coffee, but then now it's all about water. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. People out
Absolutely.
there, please hydrate yourself. All right, Doc. So we're going to jump into the topic, Doc. The first topic is, of course, as we said, sex is getting too hard. In a couple, that what you're going to see right now. What kills sex in the bedroom?
Well, to me, being in a long-term relationship for a while does kills the sex in the bedroom because people get bored, it becomes a routine, it becomes like, oh, we are going to have sex every Friday night, for example.
Yeah.
And we start to lose the spontaneity. And that when you first start to date a person, everything about this person is great. But after a while, you get to know this person better, their traits that are unlikable start to come up as well.
Yeah.
And the more you see this person, it's like it's something very, very simple. Coffee. We're talking about coffee. So if this morning, if my partner have left the coffee cup after he finished the coffee on the table and went off to work, it would have irritated me. Like, this is our house. Why aren't you taking a role in cleaning up that coffee cup? So if the idea of that coffee cup remains with me into the night, will I still be excited about him? Probably not. So it's little things like that that adds on. And of course, with work stress, with the pandemic, there's hybrid working situation, the boundaries of home and work comes blur. And most of all, kids. The moment when you have kids, your sex drive just plummeted right all the way to the bottom.
Doc, you mentioned a very solid point here. It's becoming a routine, or rather, it's going to be the same thing. It's just going to be the same performance, or it becomes like a chore. In terms of couples, like even when you're talking about the bedroom itself, is it very necessary for couples to always be spontaneous rather than saying, okay, today we are doing at 3 p.m. at and 10 seconds? Is that something that you anticipated and then you lose all your drive?
No, on the contrary, when couples come to me for sessions, my advice to them is actually put a time aside for sex. Okay, what happens is, when things goes in the routine, we start to take things for granted. And even though we are together in the same house, we kind of just take each other presence for granted. We no longer want to connect each other. We're just simply connecting with our phones. I mean, how often have we ourselves experienced or seen people when we're lying in bed side by side, we're actually still swiping the phone. So what I actually do in my sessions is to encourage couple to really set aside their time and space for each other to connect. It's not about having sex, because the prelude to sex is actually the desire to connect. And this desire to connect is hard to be spontaneous nowadays when we are so many in our mind and our phone notification is beeping non-stop.
Yeah. So
So
probably the
the
couple is
first
having sex and then they're looking at a phone. They probably lose the whole interest of
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
it.
wondering who has liked your post, whether it's on Twitter, IG, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever. There's always this like, oh, did somebody like the thing I just posted? Who commented on my,
Yeah.
something, that kind of thing. Yeah,
So then maybe we should have a first rule saying that couples should not bring the phones to the bedroom.
absolutely. I mean, I do that consistently with
Okay.
my spouse. Like every time we are for a dinner date, no phones are allowed in the dinner date.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So viewers who are listening to this, please, try not to bring your phone. You should put like a basket or like a container outside your room and put all your phone there and come inside the room. All right. Whatever happens there stays there in the room. Thank you, Dr. Angela, for that taking that particular questions. And also, how do long-term partners look for in sex? Because you see, Doc,
Hmm.
before someone gets to know, I mean, some says, we're going to reserve it only after marriage. Some cultures or some faiths says, no, we only do it after marriage. But then when they start to explore, we are not getting what we are, or the anticipation or the expectation wasn't met. What happens, Doc? So that's why we are looking at these, right? Long-term partners, what they look for.
Okay. So there are different types, So for some people who have yet to try, it's a lot about figuring out actually. So one of the things that I encounter in my sessions for this particular group of clients is that they forgot that sex is also a skill to be learned.
Okay.
Like, we will take days, takes weeks to learn how to rollerblade, learn how to do wakeboarding or something, but then we expect ourselves to be at our best at our first sexual encounter.
Yeah.
And that, of course, is not going to happen. And when the disappointment comes in, it kind of ruins the relationship and the doubt starts coming in. Am I actually doing it right? Am I actually competent? Is there something wrong with me? Etc. etc. So for first time couples, they're actually looking to explore, really start from ground zero. This is your lesson number one. Allow yourself to fumble, allow yourself to, messed up. It could be messy. Allow
Yeah.
yourself to figure out which position work and which don't, how to angle yourself accordingly, how your partner likes to be touched and fondled. So there's tons of exploration to be done on session one up to maybe 10.
Right. So I do hear that there's some trial and trials have to be done before someone becomes expert. Uh, Thank you, Doc, for that. And also, as long-term partners, right? So those who are in the early 20s, they say, "Oh, it's
Mm.
very interesting, very fun." As you go into 30s and 40s and 50s, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, has become 3 months once, 6 months once. Is there something that is lacking of, because probably in your session you have done many years of coaching, is there something that is missing in the couple? Oh, that is not important. Oh, I'm getting agitated. Don't waste the time. I want to sleep. The kind of like what you mentioned, because of this, not only the endemic that we are in, because of the stress and targets that we are in, it could be the reason also psychologically the interest just dies off for
Well, it's
long-term
not the
partners.
interest, or rather, like I said, desire are not always spontaneous. And the longer we are with our partners, the less spontaneous it's going to be. So intention and effort needs to be created to how then to get yourself excited and interested and want to be engaged in this whole activity. So in fact, in long-term partners, what they're looking for is actually a space to connect, to reconnect, rather than a
Right.
space to get all hot and passionate, like stripping off within the first 3 minutes, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But how do they get reacquainted with their partners as well as themselves? Because seriously, as a woman who has, had a child and going through different phases of my life, I do realize that my body has changed. And then to re-explore that with my partner is a very different experience compared to, sticking to the same old script that I had way before I had a kid.
Right.
So to me, intimacy comes in various ways as we mature, and it's even more interesting because now you have a partner who you trust, and you have a partner who has been for you for a long time, who doesn't mind your flabby shoulders or flabby thighs.
Okay.
Yeah, and that kinds of give you more room and more space to uncover what does your body look for right now, what does pleasure
Right.
looks like for you, and what does intimacy and reconnection feels like. So to me, it's about giving us ourselves the chance again to then re-explore. I'm saying that I would explore
Mm,
again because sex is never a script. It's always about discovering about who you
yeah.
are, who your partner is, and what the relationship is really about.
Right. So I do hear that it's about communications as well. Is that what
Definitely.
am I getting that right?
Mhm.
Communications.
Mm.
Okay. I'm just going to go back to the first question that we talked about. So,
Yes,
sex is not necessarily to be done in the bedroom. It can be everywhere in the house.
definitely. Open
Yeah.
to anywhere you want. And sex here also don't always mean intercourse. Okay.
Right.
So sometimes, having an enjoyable sexual activity does not require any form of intercourse. For all we know, there can be other forms of exploration.
Right. So because probably dog, that's why as we talk about, the only place that a lot of couples will do it is in the bedroom, because the kids are sleeping. Mother-in-law there, parents are there. Oh,
Yeah,
quiet,
yeah.
don't shout. Everything. Is it also because of that pressure? Ah, yeah, no need to do lah. They kind of, unless it's holiday, but holiday. Over the past 2 years, I'm not sure whether couples are having more sex, but the time of traveling out and having their own space without the children.
Mm,
Nowadays travel
mm,
also children also come along. So
yeah.
is it also because of the commitment that the couples are losing their interest, losing the frequency of performing or doing it together?
Oh, definitely. I mean, having kids, whether it's one, two, or three, or four, it really turn your whole house or your family or your couple dynamics upside down because there's more
Yeah.
things to manage now, and there's also more reasons for you to quarrel. So all these things
Okay.
will then add up. Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
therefore, a lot of times, what happens in my room is the talking out of these issues that are totally not related to sex, but somehow they contribute strongly to how the couples are handling their
Mhm.
dynamics.
Right. Thank you, Doctor, for that. All the viewers who are watching this, we have more interesting questions to ask Dr. Angela Tan. But if you do have a question, please do type in the comments, and we will definitely would take it. And if it's in the podcast, you can always hear it. If you want to have some time to discuss it with Dr. Angela, engage us, you can always type in the comment section, and we would definitely would try to answer that. We got more interesting topics to talk about, but right now we are just in the bedroom, and now we are coming out of the bedroom, and let's see where it's leading to right now, right? But there's definitely going to be a lots of great tips coming along the way. Doc, before we even go into the next topic itself, we do know that the maturity starts, family planning, and when the kids comes in, responsibilities, with so much of I would not say it's burden, but so much of responsibility within the couple, they do feel exhausted, feel not relaxed. So is it a part of psychology that that requires, or the physical? I'm not up to
Mm,
it. I'm getting
mm.
tired. I don't want to go through it. Either the woman can say that or the man can say that. Is this also kills that excitement within the
Well, it
couple?
does. And therefore, I always broaden my definition of sex as beyond just intercourse. How about a sensual massage for your partner when he or she is tired? How would that change things, for example?
Okay.
Or how
So
about,
it's
if
still
a,
physical contact, right?
yes,
It's still a
it is.
physical contact. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, if let's say, your partner has a bad day at work, how about just providing their space to listen out to him or her without providing solutions, but just listening?
Right.
Okay. And how
Okay.
would that change the mood again?
Mm.
So it's always about understanding what your partner needs at that time, what you need at the time. And sometimes, it's quite common for us to have different sex drives throughout the year.
Yeah.
Because, like for example, accountants are extremely busy in the mid-year and the end of the year. You're gonna ask for sex during those peak periods. Your partner will probably kill you,
Okay. Yeah.
right? With
Sure.
tons of Excel spreadsheet to look through, and you're asking for sex, huh? Okay, so it's understanding your partner's cycle and what do they really need at that time. And sometimes, it's even offering, okay, like let's say if I have a lower sex drive and I know that my partner, has the urge, I can even offer, shall I help you with masturbation? I'm not interested in it, but I'm more than happy to help you out. And that
Right.
also creates another form of intimacy, because now we're talking about vulnerability in the relationship.
Yeah.
How many of us actually comfortable with masturbating in front of our partners, or
Yeah.
just at the receiving end, because someone's also guilty. I can't just enjoy myself and ignore my partner. That's not right. I should give back.
Yeah.
But
That could be the feeling as
sometimes,
well.
yeah, but sometimes, being open to receive the pleasure for what it is actually give your partner a chance to contribute without feeling stressed out. And that change
Right.
the relationship dynamic entirely.
Right.
So that's why when I say sex, it's never just about intercourse. It's
Right.
about connecting. And connecting
Though,
can only
it's
happen.
also going into relationship, right? Like you
Definitely,
mentioned,
definitely.
it's massage.
Yeah.
So massage is a great thing.
Mm. So it's
Right.
simply
Right.
about building those bridges such that connection can happen in a way that is going to be recharging for yourself as well as your partner. Not something that's
Wow.
energy draining and drains you out and you feel like, I'm really have a tired day. Why do I have to deal with this?
Mm. Doc, apart from
Mm,
this topics, or rather the topic, and we're moving into segments, but we also know that some couples have certain medical condition, like guys have ED, erectile
yeah,
dysfunction, or even the
yeah.
women who have dryness. I mean, that also could be the contributor of
Oh,
rejecting
definitely,
sexual.
definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm
Or
going to
maybe
give you a
from.
tip. Um,
Okay.
I mean, I have tons of this content produced on my
Yeah.
Facebook page if you'd like to find it, but I'm going to summarize it here.
Okay.
So, over time, due to medical conditions, due to age or whatsoever, erectile dysfunction or premature ejaculation can then happen. Okay, so men, I hope that you understand that the function of your penis is not tied to how much pleasure you can offer your partner. Okay, but
Okay.
understanding what your partner needs, how she derive pleasure, how she receives pleasure, is the key to help her enjoy the session itself.
Mm,
So
right.
if you need, whether it's oral sex, fingering, or even toys that can be brought into the room to enhance the whole interaction.
Right. So we can
And
be
then,
back to children again, right? Playing with
yeah,
toys.
yes, absolutely. And toys, I don't always mean vibrators, like a simple blindfold, for example, can
Oh, okay. Yeah,
enhance, yeah, your ability, because the moment you block out your eyes, because our eyes are actually the one that deceive us the most.
that's right.
The moment you take away the visual cues, the body is now awake to receive various sensations and pleasure.
Right.
And with the enhanced sensation, your partner is going to be more sensitized to the tactile sense, and that will
Hmm.
then bring about a different experience altogether. I mean, feel free to try it. There's no harm.
Yeah.
Mm.
All the handkerchiefs, the towels tonight. All the couples who are hearing this going to try it out. right? It's a great tip for Dr. Angela. I mean, it's your senses, right? You can't see, you like to explore, and that's where your senses are coming in. Well said, Doctor, for that. Doctor, we are going to jump into the next segment. And also, before we go into the segment, because that's co-related with this second question that we have asked, um, especially as in a relationship, a couple, right? Maybe the male, or rather, he has some medical condition, and the female is overly sexual,
Mm,
very high
mm,
drive. But unfortunately, there is a mismatch of
yes.
connectivity. And when that happens, when the person is not getting as much of these sexual experiences or pleasures, the person then start to go way out, which is the cheating, the one
Ah,
night stand,
okay, okay, okay.
try to
Mm,
explore.
mm.
What will be the take on this, Doc?
Okay, I mean, okay, to me, if you're open to having more than one partner in your relationship, it's not a major issue itself. But the issue comes in, are we spoiling the integrity of the previous agreement? Okay, so let's say if there's a discrepancy in the sex drive, it's best to then bring it on the table and talk about it. What can we do to handle this discrepancy? For example, like I
Mm,
said earlier on, one partner can help the other partner masturbate, for example. All right, and if the other
right.
partner is just the sex drive is too high and just helping with the masturbation is not enough, and he needed other forms. For example, he needs to go online to work it out with someone. Then how about setting boundaries for that? What is actually allowable and what is going off the limits of such interactions, so that you don't have to cheat and hide to get your sexual urges fulfilled. Can we do it in the form of an agreement?
Right.
You see, because it's about respecting each other. I mean, let's say, for example, a simple scenario. Okay, food. All of us eat every day. Okay. So let's say if you're feeling a little bit more hungry today and your partner is feeling less hungry, you bought 2 packets of chicken rice. And chicken is pretty precious right now. Okay. And
Yeah,
your partner
especially.
can't finish it. All right. Do you just grab the leftover chicken rice and finish it? Or do you ask, like, can you finish it? Would you like me to finish up for you? Because he or she
Right.
may say, oh, I want to keep it for dinner actually. Right?
Right.
And to me, that is simple respect in the relationship. If you're doing that with chicken rice, why can't you do it with even more sensitive topics in the relationship?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Doc,
So yeah.
very interesting. Like what you have mentioned, the few points, but the one of the point that I think it's happening everywhere in the world. Um, Couples having a fantastic relationship, right? Great, everything is provided, families happy, kids happy. But let's take an individual like the male. He has high sex drive, and he has to do like 7 times a week. But unfortunately, the wife is like, once a week or maybe once a month. So because of that scenario, or because that situation, that particular male goes out and fulfill his fulfillments, and whatever that you need to get it satisfying. But then when he get caught, example, the whole
Mm,
relationship just goes
definitely, definitely.
yeah. So that's also very, very tricky, like what you said. Like I said, I think I will pull back into communication, because communication is also plays a very important part. But what happens if one of the couple just don't want sex anymore? So what will happen in that situation?
Well,
Have you ever
in my
faced
personal
that kind of
experience that
situation?
I work with, at
Yeah.
least for couples who are willing to come out to work with me,
Yeah.
all right, okay, because sometimes the relationship may be so bad that none of them want to work on it, and I'll never see them. So I don't know what happened to those couples.
Okay.
But at least in my practice, when people come to me, they're willing to work it up and they start talking about it. They start touching it up. So the woman in this case, they tend to feel guilty. They feel guilty
Mm,
about not satisfying their partner's needs. So they will come in with anger, with betrayal, with hurt, as well as a strong sense of guilt.
yeah.
Okay. So it's about letting the spouse also understand that, it's not something that's entirely the woman's fault or the man's fault, but how
Okay.
our each construct, or how we are as a person, our own psyche has contributed to all of that, and how best do they want
Mm,
to resolve it. So there are men who, of course, say, actually, I don't want this. I want to have a long-term relationship with you. I'm really in love for you. Let me change, and we find ways to deal with it.
right.
And of course, I have met a smaller number of couples who, after mediation, think that it's best that they break up. So to me, it's never about, is it always about staying in the relationship or breaking up? It's about what's best at that point in time for both of them. What will allow each individual to, enjoy their life for whatever it is and have enough empowerment in themselves to make the best decisions for themselves at the point in time. So sometimes cheating is a way, well, if they overcome cheating, it actually give the relationship a new light, a new promise, a new empowerment. And sometimes cheating becomes the way for two people to become stronger individuals. So we never know what's going to happen after that.
Right. Doc, it's a very
Mm,
interesting topic because when we talk about
yes.
sex, a lot of people always want to talk among, I do remember when we are the guys, very close friends. Hey, who's longer, who is
Yeah,
thicker,
yes.
this kind of stuff. But
Yes.
when
Yes.
we want to discuss it to as a group, I mean, of
Mm-hmm.
course, they don't want to show that, yours is 5 cm lesser, or
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of stuff. But in a relationship itself, I mean, husband and wife, they are very responsible. They're taking care of the child. The family is good, dinners and everything is taken care, but their sex life is affected because of different opinions, or maybe they have a different fantasy. Maybe the husband wants something bigger or something smaller, those kind of stuff. Well, it can be other way around as well. The wife probably wants bigger and longer. But what happens if sex is not it's a missing element in
Hmm.
that relationship and it cannot be solved? Could be because of sex the whole relationship can be break off.
Well, I would say that it is possible, but then usually for couples who have mature, setting up families and children and everything is working out, they are less reluctant to break up because of this sex component. What then I work with them is to find different ways of connecting. Because all of us have a desire to connect, but it could be in different love languages. So it's about finding that out and looking at where is the highest match. So for example, if the guys want me, number one is physical, okay, then it may not match because the girls may not be physical as number one. Then what is the number two, number three that starts matching? And we start to build bridges. So back to the
Yeah.
theory, connection is about finding the bridge to build from both ends.
Right. Okay. So we're trying to, come back with all these possible solutions to, to stabilize the relationship. Um, but do you think if one of the couple, all right, either the wife or the husband, want to try varieties in their life, is it, oh, I want to try all these before I become 70? I mean, of course, you're not asking permission, but there are some couples who probably say, you can go, but we must come back. Those kind of special agreements, or we call it the
Yes.
best, what is it called? Friends with
Plus open
benefit or something like
relationship in
that,
a
right?
way. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Mm.
I mean, morally is not right. But in terms of their needs, if they do that, they also could be in a very difficult situation, psychologically, physically, emotionally. So this sex thing is, I seems like it's very, very important in a couple's relationship.
Yeah. I mean, to me, like I said, if there's an agreement to be arranged, it can be talked through, to make it something of a more open relationship, and boundaries can be set up, for example. So in terms, um, I'm not sure whether our audiences are really familiar with this. Okay. So open relationship is not something new. It has been around ever since caveman
Right.
times.
Okay.
Right? We never have a fixed partner during caveman times. It was always about choosing who was the ideal one. Okay. So in a formal marriage agreement, unfortunately, we never had a clause that say what to do and how to discuss open relationships.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Yeah. So if that something does arise and it can be talked out, it can be met out in a way that remains, that keeps the integrity of the marriage intact, and yet doesn't deprive one person of something that's
Mhm.
important to him or her.
Right.
So it's about setting boundaries, for example. Like, okay, if you want to see somebody else, you can, but this is the criteria. And this is what you can or cannot do with this person.
Mm. But provided that
So
the
it's a
both of them agree with it.
correct, correct. It's really, really
Right.
tough to have these things open up, but it's not impossible.
Right.
Just that it
Okay.
takes a lot of effort on both sides to ensure that
Mm.
it's safe for both people.
Right. I mean, of course,
Mm.
if you are single, you can do whatever you want to because there's no, a very funny thing because I do emceeing for
Mm,
ROMs marriages. So
mm,
whenever after the marriage cert has been signed, the ROM certificate,
yes.
I always ask the guy, "What are you trying to look for in the certificate? Are you looking for the expiry date?" No, you can't find the expiry date at all. Unfortunately, but the fortunate thing is she be there with you all the way. So both of you must be together. On a serious note, of course,
Mm,
this can actually be very fulfilling. Couples can go and grow stronger with a great
oh,
relationship.
definitely. Yes.
Yeah, but unfortunately, because sex can be a little bit, if one is not getting the needs, then probably they may differ or detour and then
Yeah.
come back, and then that become an habit, and
Mm,
then habit becomes eventually you will get caught or you will get into trouble. So that will be should be avoided.
yeah. I mean,
If those
I
things are happening,
yes.
yeah.
So
Sorry,
to
you were
me,
saying
my
something?
point is
Yeah,
not about avoiding trouble. It's
yeah.
really how much do we respect this union that we sign up for.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where I'm coming from. What can we do or what should we do to ensure that we keep to the agreement that we signed? And
Mm,
that's usually not talked about at the front of the relationship. And one of the things that I do is prior marriage, I actually talk to couples about okay, what are they looking for in the long term, and what are some boundaries that they have around, for example, open relationships or finances, for example, sexual needs, for example. These are the you
mhm.
know um the more touchy topics that people don't discuss
Right.
in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I usually encourage those discussions to happen.
Right. But Doc, I know this can be a bit controversial.
Yes,
Do you think that before getting married, a couple, comes to you, and then said, "Okay, I love to have 7 times a week." Then the girl said, "No, I only love to have once a month." Example, or maybe she said
yes, yes.
she's
Go
not
ahead, go ahead.
interested, or probably they never even experienced it, or probably in their previous boyfriend girlfriend relationship. But then, how can the link be connected? And said,
Mm,
"Okay, if the guy wants 7 times, she wants one time. There's a big, huge
mm,
differences.
mm.
I know sex is not everything, but it's also a part of the whole relationship. If that is missed, a lot of things can go wrong. How can this be fixed?
Okay, this is so super hypothetical because usually in real life people we have a lot more factors to look at. And one important factor is what does this sex means to each of them. All right. Okay, so for example, if to the guy, okay, it means, for example, just handling urges. Okay, then there are ways to cope with the urges without just sex. But if sex to him, means a way of getting connected, then are there other ways that can also fulfill this connection part without actual intercourse? So it goes right down to what do people seek for in the experience? It's just like why today we want to eat wonton noodles versus chicken rice. Is it because the queue is shorter? Is it because, oh, this is the famous one, so I must try? There's usually a reason for us in doing something. So the moment we can uncover the reasons, we can adapt it according to the situation.
Okay.
Mm.
Like I said, to get the couples together for many, 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 many years, does sex ever dies off at any point of time? In maybe say couples at 80 years old, can they have sex?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, it's not so common here, but in the Western world, it's actually very common. And in fact, okay, so there's some research that has been done about looking at the couple into their entire life. How does the sex drive actually works? So usually when they first get married, it's like oh sky high, and the moment they are pregnant and have their first kid, it goes right down. And it comes out again when the kid starts primary school, secondary school, and that's why you get kinky parents in their 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
Okay, and then interestingly, for this Western country, there's another peak at 70 and 80.
Oh,
Oh, because at that point in time, they don't care whether they get STI or STD because they're about to die anyway.
yeah. Okay.
And they are no longer fertile for females. So the
Yeah.
worry of having an unplanned pregnancy is simply zero.
Right.
So yeah, it happened, just not here.
Okay, so maybe we are a little bit more. I wouldn't say we are a little bit backwards, but I think we Singaporeans are very reserved, very
Hmm.
strict. Oh no, this is not for us after 70. Are we like very super focused and super strict? Is it could be the reason we are not a bit too relaxed? We are always uptight. Is
Yeah,
that could
I
be the
mean,
reason as
of
well?
course, there's a lot of taboo around it, and in
Yeah.
fact, a number of women after menopause will conclude that sex has died after menopause. Because unfortunately,
Hmm.
menopause is also is a taboo topic and it's very misunderstood that way. And some women does have very extreme symptoms, including lower libido, dryness in the
Right.
whole vagina area that simply kill sex. So when that happens, you know, after you've been rejected by your partner for like 2 years due to the menopausal symptoms, I think you kind of lost the urge to ask for it anyway.
Hmm.
So that's why sometimes it just plummets down during the whole
But then the
menopause or
2 years,
andropause period. Yeah,
yeah, but then during the 2 years, the guy is like high and dry.
yeah,
Yeah.
you see. So actually, well, and menopause is a whole other topic for another day because there's also
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
strategies to
Yes,
counter those
disagree with
things
you.
that comes along.
Yeah, we will talk about that very soon on the next topic. But Doc, in terms of
Mm.
when the sex is all time low, what can couple do to make it more interesting? I mean, but rather than just inserting into the vagina and the guy's penis. I mean, it's human body part, but we less we talk about it. But when the sex drive is low, like you said, use towels to
Mhm.
increase the fantasy and even the
Mm.
senses. But any other ways, people who might want to go into illegal pills that we not definitely not and recommended at all. Apart from that, what is another booster effect?
To me, it's always about exploration and more explore. I mean, it takes time to figure it out. I mean, you can attend classes on tantric workshops, sensual massage, go and learn something together, or even just as simple as go and learn how to do a couple dance like bachata together, for example. So little things that gets you into the couple mood, all right, or even
Right.
signing up for baking class together, for example. And when you bring that baking home, nice thing can also happen with all the food play. So it's just about how do we allow ourselves to be creative and not be stuck with the same old script. And there's
Mm.
tons of toys online right now. You don't even need to go to a sex shop and feel embarrassed about it. Just a few
Right.
clicks on the website, you get this nice box in discreet manner sent to your
And
house.
deliver to you. Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. So that's soft as well. Um, a sure way to get rejected in the bed by a spouse. When your wife is in the phone and then you're like, hey, I want, don't want, those kind of stuff. Or maybe it's a guy losing the touch of being like romantic with a bottle of champagne and a couple of
Mhm.
roses. Hey, darling, or those kind of stuff. Or is it that, oh, we know what is it? We've been doing this for years. Come on, just open. Is that we are taking it too lightly or are we not going back to the basics? Is that also why a lot of them get rejected?
I mean, definitely that contributes, if you're not reading the mood correctly. All right. And interestingly, I have spouse after 20 years who still miss each other cues.
All right.
Yeah. So it's only when we talk about it, then they go like, you mean that was a cue for you to initiate? I thought it was just a normal cuddle that you do every night. So little things
Right.
like that. It's quite funny when things starts opening up on the table, and then they start to
Yeah.
see like sometimes the rejection is unintentional.
Yeah.
It's not like this person bear a grudge or no longer finds you attractive and things like that. And a lot of times we made up assumptions of what our spouse thinks of us. And I think to
Right.
me, that's the really bad part about how the rejection spoils the relationship. And I guess for some reason, when we are rejected, we make it too personal. Like it must be something about me, like I'm no longer attractive, etc., etc., and therefore my partner is no longer interested in me. But sometimes it's never about us. It's just about the situation, about how your partner is feeling that day, or whatsoever. Just about talking it out. And one of the things I usually advise is how do we handle rejections when it happens. So if you need to reject your partner, okay, so give a reason for why is that happening, and always offer an alternative, so that you can sound as if that you're putting effort and you didn't mean to reject him or her. So, for example, right, honey, I'm really not in it tonight because I have a big presentation coming up tomorrow and I'm not jittery. Okay,
Yeah.
but I'm happy to give you a blowjob today. Okay, or we can adjourn it to next Tuesday. I'm great that day.
That's a
You see
communication
how
again.
that sounds? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's so much more palatable. But people don't do that.
Right. So just one word. No, not today.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Then either part will just get either party also might just get disappointed. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the resentment builds up, and that's what spoils the relationship.
Sure.
Because then if the next time round when the partner wants to revisit this, the bad memory stays.
Right.
Yeah, and accumulated bad memories then spoils the relationship.
Right. So it's a very good thing to rekindle,
Mm.
the basics again. Guys, if you're watching this, get a bottle of wine or champagne, or even if you think that you're not drinking, it's fine, right? Just bring a bottle of mineral water or chocolates. Make the other party, just become, just cool and relaxed. But doc, it is also, we all know that scientifically it's proven when you have sexual intercourse, your dopamines increase, your oxytocin, serotonin, your endorphins, your heart is working, your blood pressure is going through, you feel very relaxed, no anxiety, no stress. So couples should do every night, isn't it?
Well, I mean, like I said, it's not just about intercourse. You can always just cuddle, and the cuddling
Yeah.
itself also produces oxytocin, but
There you
not
go.
as much as an orgasm does. But
Yeah.
better something than never.
Right.
So instead of always gunning for the end point of intercourse, 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 how can we make every time we spend together something pleasant?
Yeah.
Because
And that could
having
be
little,
lead to sexual as well, right? I mean, if you give your
yeah, you,
partner a massage,
correct,
that will
correct, correct.
lead.
Yes, and then from
Right.
a women's point of view, sometimes it's not about the champagne or the chocolates. Like if you have
Okay.
made the bed in the morning,
Yeah.
I'll be happy.
Okay, guys, you all know what to do. Hearing this,
It's the
please make
little
your
things
bed.
that matters.
Yeah. And also, doc, I mean, by we talking like that, I mean, if all couples are listening, I think that'd be great because then the low birth rate will start increasing, even in Singapore, even around the globe. I think low birth rate is one of the pandemic, we can call it, or endemic, right? It's always been there, the population is just reducing. So it's good to, rekindle, bring back the chocolates or give the massage, like what Dr. Angela Tan has said. It's all great tips, guys. And please do not go into the rejected, don't do things like, make her hangry or something like that, right? I mean, when we talk about it, we always say he's always the one who was asking. But is there a time where the woman will be asking the guy, hey, I want tonight, and the guy say, no, I'm tired,
Yeah,
I
it
got a
happens. It
presentation tomorrow?
happens.
Does it happen?
Ah, yeah, of course it does.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, this is where because okay, so interesting. There was a study that talks about this. All right, okay. So if let's say if I ask my partner about sex and then we had it, our feel good factor lasts for a day.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So let's say if I ask for sex, okay, and I didn't get it, but the feel good factor that my partner has also lasts for a day. So
Mm,
because just by asking, I'm assuring that he's being wanted,
right.
and that desire of being wanted actually makes a person happy.
Okay.
So sometimes it's okay to
So,
be rejected because you still make your partner feel happy about it.
okay. In the exercise, we said, you need to do at least
Yes.
60 minutes, 3 times a week, by the health organization or WHO, But in a sexual, does it have a frequency or duration, doc? I mean, do we say do 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Do we have that sort of
Well,
thing? Uh,
it's in Singapore, if everything has a protocol, it'd be so much easier because somehow we
yeah,
are being trained to follow protocols.
yeah.
But to me, no. Sex doesn't have a protocol. I mean, there are couples who have great relationship if they're only having sex once a year, and
Wow.
there are
Okay.
couples who are in it, twice, 3 times a day, and that's really, really all right. So to me, is in the couplehood, how do we constantly create moments for us to create that connection and build that fulfillment that we long for in the relationship? How do we
Right.
care for each other and be cared? And sex is just one of the many avenues to get there.
Beautiful say. I mean, I keep on hearing communication. So definitely, doc, you are preaching all about communications and a lot of other methods as well. But I think communication is the key for getting couples together and spending more time, and not only just sexual relationship, but a lot of other factors that we have just discussed.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be going into the another segment again, which is of course the sexual position. All right, we know that Kamastra and certain
Mm-hmm.
magazines and all these sites that we have. Oh, you have to do this 360 degrees, 780 degrees, or whatever or so ever. What will be the preferable sexual position?
Okay, there is no preferable position because every body literally is different. Some of us are taller, shorter. Some of us has got longer, shorter penises. Some of us has got penises with a bigger grief, and someone is smaller. Some of us has got shorter vaginas. Someone got tighter vaginas, and some of us, different shape of thighs. And the height difference between our partners, they all changes the way how sexual positions are actually preferred.
Right,
Okay, so instead of going to what is preferable, know how it worked best for you and your partner, and always try new things. To me, a great sexual experience is not about both people having an orgasm, but it's about, despite the mistakes, the fumbles that we make, can we still laugh about it and continue on?
yeah,
Right? And is that exploration where the connection happens in a different way, and when vulnerability is shown in a different way, and intimacy is built in an all different way.
right,
Okay, and of course, there are many ways to enhance the whole experience itself, from breathing techniques, energetic works techniques, and of course the tactile techniques and things like that. So positions is just one of the few components to make the whole experience magical. And in
right.
fact, most men, when they are doing penetrative sex, the average time is about 5 minutes. So why focus on the 5 minutes when you have 60 minutes to look at,
Right.
right?
And also, Doc, like what
Mm.
I'm just hearing right now is that there's no such thing as an easy position or the most difficult position. It's just about an exploration of a couple to come up with something that they love, something that is not normal or something it's normal but they are
Yeah,
enjoying. So it actually matters to the both of them, right?
yeah. I mean, like a slight tilt of the hips, adding a pillow here, laying a pillow there, slightly changing your body. It actually angles. Well, because if you
Mm,
look at it, the sensitive part of the penis, which is at the head, has got so many little points. The moment you change the angle of contact, the sensation feels different,
right,
right? And that's how a little thing will work. And then when we change the angles of the female's hips, for example, we are also changing the contact point between the penis and the vagina wall itself. And guys, please note that most women feel more pleasure by clitoris stimulation more than vaginal stimulation. Hence, the
right.
focus is never about penetration.
Okay.
All right,
So
that's
those
topic for
newbies,
another day. About
yeah,
anatomy.
yeah.
Okay,
But all the
but
newbies who are
yes,
listening this, good advice by Dr. Angela Tan. Thank you, doctor, for that. All the newbies will be learning that as well. We are going to go to the next one. Of
sure.
course, size and length matter to her.
Like I said, everyone is different. We have all different sizes. In truth, like I said, if the focus is on clitoris stimulation, then the size doesn't matter. The length doesn't matter. Because how much you enter into the vagina does not actually stimulate the clitoris.
Right,
So it's about the angling of the positions or enough foreplay to have adequate clitoris stimulation such that when penile vaginal penetration happens, it creates a new height to the whole experience rather than just doing it for the sake of doing it.
right. So, Doc, I mean, when we talk about sexual experiences, it's just not just about doing it or just by hitting it. It involves a lot of maybe communication, like we said, exploration, sensation, feeling, and talking about it, smiling. So that makes the whole experience phenomena rather than just going into the base and dun, 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 and okay, we're done. Oh yeah, okay, go. There's a huge difference, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's the beautiful part. When most of us has got a regular partner, we can actually explore more of this. Because in the new partner, you're always trying to figure out what is the basic fundamentals. What actually takes off the person and what doesn't, and all the awkwardness that happens. It takes up all the space from being able to be fully present in the interaction. So to me, at the end of the day, no, the size, the length itself doesn't fully matter. Of course, it can matter to more to some couples. I cannot say it's 100% for everyone every time.
Right.
But if we can focus on how do we present ourselves to be present in that whole interaction and allow love to happen. I mean, and that's why love making, right?
Right.
Right? How do we actually make love instead of just having intercourse?
Right. So we talked about her. Now we're coming back to him. What methods to him for him?
Oh, you got to find out from your partner. This is, all boils down to exploration again. I know of men who love blowjobs. I know of men who don't like blowjobs. I know a man who is so eager for a prostate massage. And some men say, that's way out for me.
Right.
Okay. So it really goes on to, how well do you know your partner and how far will, each of you would like to explore. Okay. And, to some men, I need boobs to get excited. To some men, I like fat chested women. So it really
Right.
depends from man to man. I don't know about your man.
Right. So it's all about the individual preferences, maybe the fantasy, or maybe they have some kind of
Hmm.
imagination. So I mean, whatever it may be, of course, to try it with your regular partners to explore on it. We're gonna go. Wow, interestingly, it's 51 minutes. Think about it. It just seems like we just started the topic a while ago.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
Actually interesting. But viewers, please ask us questions. Like I said, Dr. Angela will be more than happy to take these questions. Please type it out in the comment section. We will answer it as much as possible. And also, please take note that we are now officially in podcasts, in Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And in social media, we are now in LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So please do share and like. And for the past 51 minutes with me is Dr. Angela Tan, a family physician, intimacy coach, and a co-founder of Academic of Relationship and Sex. So sex is not just about doing it, but it's about communication, it's about exploration. That's what we are getting all these valuable information from Dr. Angela Tan. We are going to go for one more question, Doc, and before we say adios, amigo, we talked about what happens in the bedroom. It not necessarily only to be the bedroom; it can be anywhere. A couple likes to explore. Sex never dies. We hear so many great tips from you. I'm sure the Singapore government is going to thank us because the birth rate is going to go up. Obviously, apart from that, what makes sex amazing for couples? I mean, we talked about a lot about exploration, a lot about communication, but in a nutshell, what will you advise?
So, to me, as long as you love your partner and you want to show your love that way, okay, and that's what's going to make sex amazing. It's not a chore, it's not the routine, but it's another way of you showing your love and receiving it, keeping your mind and your body open for all of that to happen.
Perfectly said, Doctor, for the past 55 minutes right now as we speak. Thank you so much for all these tips and then advices that you have given. Once again, Dr. Angel Tan, a family physician, intimacy coach, and a co-founder of Academic of Relationship and Sex. Doc, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, is there a website or is there
Oh,
some
yes.
kind of communication? Yeah,
Well, we'll leave our website on the chat below and
that's
people
right.
can drop us a
So
message there.
viewers, right. So we're going to leave Dr. Angela Stan's information there. If you do face any challenges like what we talked about, and something you want to ask personal, please, all will be confidential. You can approach Dr. Angela Tan. Thank you, Dr. Angela Tan, for spending with Kopi with Vans. Unfortunately, we didn't have coffee today because of the weather. So, but definitely we're going to catch up coffee very soon. Thank you for joining us at Kopi with Vans, Doc.
Definitely, it's my pleasure as well. Thank you, Vince.
Thank you, Dr. Angela. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye. All right, folks. It was a great topic today. That's what, right? Sex getting too hard. Sometimes we don't talk about this. First time ever in Kopi events, we had a topic on sex. Over the past 2 years, 6 months, we talked about all about topics on mind, body, your body parts, and we talk about a lot of other stuffs like lifestyle. But today's topic is very important because to keep couples going for many, many more years, not just about sex, but it's about relationship. But sex is just a part of it. But without that, it can cause a lot of confusion. It can cause a lot of detours, and a lot of other things may happen. But like what Dr. Angela Tan has said, it's all about communication. It's all about exploration. It's all about your senses. I think this is the key point for a great relationship. It's not just about sex. It's just not just doing it, right? Like she talked about the penis, the vagina, and all those stuff. But we are always shy to talk about it, even to our spouses sometimes. Little ego there. Sometimes you need to drop it. I know sometimes guys and girls are within their good friends and they joke about all those stuff. But sometimes you don't really identify this issue because that could be another health problem. Like we talked about the erectile dysfunction, and even for the woman for the dryness or any other painful penetrations, a lot of stuff. So I think it's very good that you need to get sometimes an expert advice, not to just to be in silence and suffer through it or not enjoying the great workout. I call it a great workout. It's also a physical fitness workout. When you have sex, like we talked about, the serotonin, oxytocin, your dopamine, you feel good, you feel get very sweaty and you're ready. In fact, it calms you down. All right. So exercise or sex is definitely very helpful for your life and makes you fitter and stronger and a great mental health as well. This is Kopi Events. Once again, I'm thanking Dr. Angela Tan, family physician, intimacy coach, and co-founder of Academic of Relationship and Sex. And thanks for all the tips and advices that she given today at Kopi Events. I'll catch you soon on the next topic every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Kopi Events. This is your events. I'm signing off right now. I catch around. See ya as usual. Adios, amigos.